phone lines open. I got the chat going on. Just got to make sure that all systems are go because again, this is a newer show, and I will absolutely get all of the production. I'll get all the production snafus squared away. I'll come up with an introduction, all that good stuff. Devin recommends we are Sharpe Sports. Okay, very good. All right, I got my chat up. Chat's looking good. I got my stats up. Stats looking good. Let me bring up the live chat here. Very good. Actually, it looks better. Actually, looks better on Rumble than on YouTube. So what's going on, guys? Welcome to the second episode of Sharpe Sports. It is good to have you guys all in here today. Got a couple of you guys watching on Rumble. Looks like we've got yep. Looks like we've got 33 people watching on YouTube. I appreciate you guys' support. Make sure you guys hit that like button. 516-387-1987. 516-387-1987. If you want to call in and discuss anything that happened in sports over the weekend, anything that happened in sports over the weekend, we will get that done. I want to make sure I announce what we're doing here. All right, so all right, let me make sure I get this correct here. All right, so breaking news. This just in to TSR Towers. Chris Jones has agreed to a 1-year extension with the Chiefs. This move is obviously necessary after the Chiefs lost to the Detroit Lions back on Thursday night. Chris Jones's presence or lack thereof was clearly felt by the defense. And it's interesting. The Chiefs are so good. They were down. They did not have access to their second and third best players. And they still only lost by 1 to a really good football team. I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they were last season. I don't think that's I don't think that's in the cards for them. They'll obviously make the playoffs. Clearly. They'll obviously make the playoffs. Roadblock 85 with the $20 super chat says, glad you're doing sports too, fam. I'll be listening at the gym. Good stuff. Dre Raven with the $2 super chat says, what is your take on the Ravens loss to New England? The Ravens did not play. The Ravens did not play the Patriots. The Baltimore Ravens played, I should have this up here. The Baltimore Ravens played and beat the Houston Texans. The Philadelphia Eagles played the New England Patriots. So yeah, go ahead and ask it. Again. I'm not really sure what question you're asking. Aaron Bowie says we gonna go back to the Super Bowl. Chiefs versus Cowboys. Oh boy, here we go. Overreaction Monday. Of course, all the Cowboys fans are gonna come out of the woodwork, which is fine. I don't care. This is just what they do. It is what it is. This is what it is. Jay Blaze, I see you on the line. I'm going to get to you in just a second. So, yeah, Chris Jones. And again, there aren't any details as of yet. I'm watching Speak on FS1 now. And Shady McCoy, LaShawn McCoy, former Eagles running back, Eagles all-time leading running back, talked to Chris Jones' agent. They're still trying to work out the particulars in terms of, the dollar figures, et cetera. It looks like it's going to be an incentive-laden extension. Chris Jones, I think, was in year 3 or 4 of a 4-year, $80 million contract. And look, if I'm him, I hold out too. Nick Bosa just got the bag. He just got the biggest contract. He just got the biggest contract in NFL history for a defensive player. And he had 15 and a half sacks last year. They clearly felt his lack of presence, and they awarded him as such. So shout out to Chris Jones. I was hoping he would hold out until after the Eagles game, but I guess we are going to have to deal with him. Stephen Proctor with the $5 super chat says, Donovan, who do you believe is the greatest quarterback ever? I am biased. I grew up with Brady, but who do you believe is the greatest ever? Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're biased or not. Brady is the GOAT. He is absolutely the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time. He has won 7 Super Bowls. He's been to 10 Super Bowls. He's won 7. Dude has a 700 winning percentage in Super Bowls. Think about that for a second. He has a winning percentage in the Super Bowl. When you talk about most quarterbacks, all you can really talk about is, okay, well, they've been to the playoffs once or twice. They've got a playoff win here. Oh, they did go to the Super Bowl here. Or they were, the AFC champion runner-ups. But Brady has a 700 winning percentage in Super Bowls. It's not close. It's definitely Brady. And anyone who argues that Brady is not the greatest is just being contrarian. It's obvious. It's obvious. A lot of people when we have these sports conversations and sports discussions, a lot of people try to sort of stand out. They try to stand out. They try to break the mold. They try to make themselves look or sound smarter or enlightened, or that they know something that nobody else does, right? A lot of times when people give their opinions, their sports opinions in sports debates on shows like this, they don't really believe what they're talking about. They're really just saying things to perform. That's really what it comes down to. They're really just saying things to perform and to get a reaction out of people. Brady is 1,000% the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time, and it's not close. Sorry. So yeah, I agree. Listen, Steven, you can be as biased as you want, but Brady's the greatest. Mahomes appears to be the only quarterback that is on that trajectory, right? I mean, he's got 2 Super Bowls in his first, 5 seasons as a starter. So he is on that trajectory. But I think at this point, Mahomes is the only guy that I can think of that is on the trajectory to surpass Brady as the greatest quarterback of all time. I think what we also have to understand, Steven, is that we as sports fans, we take a lot of things for granted. We are living in a golden age of sports, guys. We are living in a golden age of sports. If you're my age, you've seen the likes of Michael Jordan. You've seen LeBron. I mean, the NBA has never been more talented. It's never been more talented, mainly because it's never been more global, right? Area code 201. I see you on the line. I'm going to get to you in a second. But guys, what we need to understand is the Brady-Belichick dynasty in New England is never going to happen again. It's just not. It is absolutely, positively, never, ever, ever going to happen again. It's not. I know a lot of people like to be, and listen, that's fine. If you're a Jets or a Dolphins or a Bills fan, yeah, you're going to be a hater, right? But even I appreciated, even after the dynasty, the Cowboys dynasty was over, even I appreciated the significance of the Dallas Cowboys winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years in the 90s. Winning Super Bowls 27, 28, and 30. Right? When you get to a certain age, you stop hating, quote-unquote, players. Dolphins fans, Bills fans, Jets fans, they all know that Brady is the greatest. And anyone who says otherwise is just, they're doing it for attention. I don't like people who do hot sports takes for attention just to get, XYZ person said Johnny Manziel has a chance to, no. Johnny Manziel is out of the league. He will never play football again. Stop it. Brady is the greatest quarterback who has ever lived. It's not close. Stop it. Very good question. Dre Raven with the $5 super chat says, my bad, I meant the Texans. How did Lamar perform that poorly against the Texans? I will get to that. Looks like he double super chatted. I will be getting to all of these games. But I wanted to make sure that I mentioned the fact that, breaking news, it looks like the Chiefs and Chris Jones have come to an agreement. Looks like it's a 1-year deal. It's a 1-year extension. And again, the news on the wire is that the contract is incentive laden, which probably means they're going to re-up him next year. You guys know how that goes. Suffolk's Finest on the Rumble site says, Brady is the GOAT. There is no other. I think the Chiefs quarterback might be the most talented of my lifetime, but there is no better than Brady. It's not just about talent. Absolutely. Suffolk's Finest says, I agree that the Eagles, barring any significant injuries this season, is the best team this year. We'll talk about that as well. Top level last year, and their defense is even better this year. Says, don't let the Cowboys win over the Giants mean much. Giants might be the worst team this year. Dallas will be hot, win 5, then fizzle, just like last year. We will get into all that. First, let's quickly discuss some of a few other sports events over the weekend. So Coco Gauff over the weekend became the youngest. She became the youngest female ever to win a U.S. Open since Serena Williams did it many moons ago at 17 years old. Devin and I both watched, and I see you in the queue. Jay Blaze, area code 201, and area code 850. I'm going to come to you guys here momentarily. Period. Pardon me. But Coco Gauff won her very first major. And what impressed me the most, what is starting to become clear, and we'll talk about this when we quickly discuss Coach Prime, is that I was waiting, and I didn't know much about Coco Gauff. I mean, I know she's an American tennis player, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What I was looking for was her to talk about her relationship with her family, more specifically her father. Coco Gauff is, just looking at her, beautiful teenage girl. She's feminine. Obviously, she's going to move up. I think she's going to be ranked number 3. She's ranked number 3 now. The girl that she beat, Aryna Sabalenka, is now the new number 1. But Coco Gauff, she handles herself with such femininity and grace, with just the right amount of tenacity. I love how she clapped back at her haters. I love during the ceremony, she said, hey, I won a 500 tournament. They said that's where I'll max out. I won a 1,000 tournament. That's where they say I will max out. Now here I am. I'm the youngest U.S. Open female champion since Serena Williams. That's the only way she clapped back. I loved it. Sometimes you have to use that competitive fire. She wasn't masculine about it. She just told it like it was. Then she talked about her relationship with her father. And then of course the commentators also talked about her faith, her family, religion, etc., etc. It was clear why Coco Gauff is mature and successful at 19. It's because she has a strong father in her life. Serena and Venus Williams had a strong father in their life. Jennifer Capriati, she was a train wreck. Talented, but a train wreck, raised mostly by a single mother. Now, this isn't to say that just because you're raised by a single mother means you're not going to be successful. Most professional athletes, dude, I'm going to tell you what, I don't know what the percentages are, but a good number of professional athletes come from single mother homes. I think that remains to be seen. But we can tell the difference. We can tell the difference between athletes that come from a single mother home and athletes that come from two-parent homes. A long time ago on Return of Kings, I wrote an article called How Professional Athletes Teach Us the Importance of Fathers. And what I did is I juxtaposed 6 athletes to one another. I juxtaposed 6 athletes to one another. Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Derek Jeter. They're all GOATs in their own respect. Jordan's arguably the greatest ever. Brady's the greatest ever. Derek Jeter, one of the greatest leaders. Statistics-wise, he'll be in the Hall of Fame because he's, the Yankee captain and number 2 and all that. He's never going to have A-Rod's numbers, but he was a better leader because, of course, two-parent home. Now, the other 3 athletes that I juxtaposed were Mike Tyson, Alex Rodriguez, and Terrell Owens. Now, Mike Tyson, Terrell Owens, and Alex Rodriguez, they all had a ton more talent, raw talent, than the other 3. Michael Jordan wasn't the biggest, the fastest, the strongest. Michael Jordan was just more willful. He would just use hatred. You guys remember that LeBradford Stevens guy? I don't even remember what his name is. He made up some crazy story, went out and dropped like 45 on this guy that no one had ever thought of, right? But Jordan wasn't born oozing all of this talent. He was cut from his high school basketball team his sophomore season. Tom Brady wasn't this 5-star, recruit. He had to sit behind Drew Henson for 2 years and then had to share the spot with Brian Griese before he finally got a shot and won the University of Michigan their first Rose Bowl in decades. But Tom Brady, Derek Jeter, Michael Jordan, all had strong fathers. T.O., 5 different kids by 5 different mamas. Mike Tyson, we all know how that turned out. And he's doing well for himself. Same with A-Rod. Now, A-Rod has, he has rehabilitated his image to some degree. But getting back to Coco Gauff, guys, I'm going to tell you what, man. You guys know I'm not a race guy. But it filled me with pride. It filled me with pride to see black success, number one, and for the people that are having success to acknowledge their black fathers. Coco Gauff says, my father's my biggest fan. I would never be here without him, etc., etc. That's what I wanted to hear from Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff is clearly successful for many, many reasons. She's got talent, she's got the work ethic, etc., etc. But I can guarantee you that if she did not have a strong father in her corner, her life would not be on the trajectory that it is now. Speaking of tennis, Novak Djokovic also won the U.S. Open. He won the U.S. Open on the men's side, and this is his 24th Grand Slam. This is his 24th Grand Slam. I know that you guys don't follow tennis like I do, but Novak Djokovic is now the GOAT. He is now the greatest tennis player of all time. He is the greatest tennis player in history. Now, we know what ESPN is going to do. We know what ESPN is going to do. ESPN is going to say Novak Djokovic is now one of the greatest tennis players ever because he is now tied with Margaret Court for the most Grand Slam wins by a man or a woman. We know that's going to happen. If Novak Djokovic were to play Serena Williams, he would absolutely wipe the floor with her. That being said, going back to it, listen, the greatest, and guys, I'm old enough to have watched Pete Sampras, Jim Courier, Andre Agassi. I've watched, the big three, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic. It was supposed to be Federer and Nadal for decades, guys. But then this skinny Serbian kid with this brash attitude comes in and he spoils the party. Who's the greatest, Federer or Nadal? No, the answer is Novak Djokovic. And he's not showing any signs of slowing down. He's like 35, 36 years old. He's ranked number 1 in the world. It's incredible. It's incredible. So congratulations to Novak Djokovic for winning his 24th and his record-breaking Grand Slam. I think he could get to 30 before he's done. Maybe not to 30, but sky's the limit for this guy. Suffix Finest says, I'm 50. I watched Arthur Ashe. Exactly. Okay, Jay Blaze. Oh, we got Jay Blaze in Maine, Neil in New Jersey, Chris in Kansas, and some crazy groupie. So, over the weekend, the University of Texas went into Tuscaloosa and beat the then number 3 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Texas is back. I think Texas is now inside the top 5. I think Texas is now inside the top 5. Quinn Ewers, he lit it up, threw for 349 yards or some crazy number like that. It's better to, and listen, as far as Bama's concerned, they're still in it. They can still make the playoff. They're in the SEC, highly competitive. They've got the scheduled difficulty. Pardon me. They've got the scheduled difficulties. Okay, hang on a second. I am Klaus. Okay, so I am Klaus. I got to time you out. I hate these fucking emojis, dude. Get out of here. Get out of here. There we go. I'm going to put you in timeout. I am Klaus. If you're going to come in, don't just, I am Klaus. Like, it's not that kind of party here. Like, let's be grown up. Let's be grown up here, guys. Let's be grown-ups. Let's not do this. I am Klaus. No, that's not clever. That's stupid. Anyway, so the University of Texas is now 2-0. Suffix Finest thinks that they should be ranked 5th overall. I think they're number 3 or 4. I don't remember exactly. But that was an impressive win for Steve Sarkisian going into Tuscaloosa and beating the vaunted Alabama Crimson Tide. I think it's their first home loss in like 2 years or some crazy number like that. Very, very impressive. Quinn Ewers. I had a feeling that Texas was going to win this game. And so they went into Tuscaloosa and handled their business. And then, of course, was the game of the week. Gentlemen, this is the biggest story in sports. And now the Colorado Buffaloes After having defeated the Nebraska Cornhuskers 36-14, they now find themselves in the top 20. I think they're number 18. So next week they face Colorado State. They should win that game rather easily. Then their next two games, the Colorado Buffaloes, if they beat Colorado State next week, their next two games are going to be among the highest rated. But there are conditions to this. There are conditions to this. Okay? Obviously, they have to take care of business against Colorado State. I don't think that there's any question about that. They should, right? They beat Nebraska, and it looked pretty ugly early, but Shedeur Sanders showed his mental strength. Things weren't going too well. He hunkered down. They ended up blowing him out anyway. But as long as they take care of Colorado State, then they go to Eugene, Oregon to play Bo Nix and the Oregon Ducks. And if they beat Bo Nix and the Oregon Ducks, they then come back home to Boulder to play Heisman frontrunner Caleb Williams and the USC Trojans. That will be the game of the year. That will absolutely be the game of the year. Yes, Nebraska's head coach is Matt Rule. Matt Rule coached the Carolina Panthers for a time. Pardon me. But again, going back to what I was talking about Coco Gauff, the most impressive thing to me about this sports story, just coming from my perspective, is the black father. The black father figure. Shedeur Sanders loves his father. Dude, all of those kids on Colorado's team, they love Deion because he treats them as his own children. He loves to do this. It is absolutely incredible how quickly Deion has built this program. It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Miami J with the $2 super chat says, I couldn't give Brady the GOAT status until he won with Tampa Bay. Stop the cap. Stop the cap, Miami J. You and I actually had this debate years ago.
Stop the cap.
Thank you. Years ago. And I don't know, maybe you need to be reminded of this, but might I remind you, Miami J, that Bill Belichick with New England before Brady got there, he was 5-11. Bill Belichick was 5-11 before Tom Brady got there. Mo Lewis comes and cleans Drew Bledsoe's clock. The rest is history. Tom Brady became the GOAT when he beat the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl 51. When Tom Brady and the New England Patriots came back down from 25 to beat the Falcons for Brady's fifth Super Bowl. For his fifth Super Bowl, that's it. That made him the GOAT. Everything else is just really icing on the cake, to be quite honest with you on that. Okay, let's hit the phone lines before we talk about the NFL games, and let's try not to get too far ahead of ourselves, guys. I want to organize this as quickly as I can. Let's go to Jay Blaze in Maine. Jay Blaze, so what you got?
Can I talk about the Cowboys game, or
yeah, you can. That's fine.
Is that off limits?
No, that's fine. No, go ahead.
All right, so this is the issue I have with the Cowboys game, dude. The first drive the Giants had, they were shoving it down the Cowboys' throats. The Cowboys have a really fast defense, but if you can get ahead of them early and just keep running the ball, dude, the problem with the Giants was they went one-dimensional super early. And, dude, that team is really good when you can pass rush and get the QB off kilter, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think that, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. Listen, the Cowboys. I think this says more about the Giants than the Cowboys. Look, we knew the Cowboys' defense was going to be solid. We knew the Cowboys. Look, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. They added Stephon Gilmore, Trayvon Diggs. They just gave the bag. Their linebackers, Leighton Vander Esch, all those guys. Listen, we know the Cowboys are going to have one of, if not the best defenses in the NFL. But they played the Giants. The Giants are not as good as we thought they were. Yeah, they had a nice year. They went 9-8. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff game against, Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. But what people need to understand is that it's hard to win in this league. Just because you had success last year doesn't guarantee you success this year. Okay, so the Giants go 9-8. All right, so we're looking to build on this momentum. What do? Dallas comes out and in their own backyard puts a 40 burger on them, just like that. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones last year. I think the Giants have a much better coach than what their team showed.
Yes.
Yesterday.
100%.
But he tried to fix Daniel Jones, and I think you're going to see a lot of defenses see through it because I think they screwed up paying Daniel Jones.
Oh, yes.
And I think Daniel Jones screwed up asking for more money because if he had said, "Hey, give me $20 million," do you think he'd be getting skewered by the
media?
New York media?
Yeah.
No, they'd say, he is what we paid for,
Yeah, right. We know who he is, and thanks for the call, Jay Blaze. Yeah, look, if I'm Daniel Jones, I mean, look, I'm asking for as much money as I can too. Like, I'm not gonna fault Daniel Jones and his team for going out and getting as much money as they can. That's fine. That's his agent's job. But Daniel Jones is not a $40 million a year quarterback. He's just not. He's not. Like, if we really want to scale it, Daniel Jones is probably closer to a $25 to a $27 million a year quarterback. And again, we're talking relative to where things are now. He's not worth 25. Well, he is what the market says he is. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. All right, let us go to Neil in New Jersey. Neil in New Jersey, you're on with Donovan. Go ahead.
What's up, Donovan?
What's up, brother?
Hey, man. So that Patriots and Eagles game was something, man.
Yeah, it was crazy, wasn't it?
Most people don't think we're gonna win even 7-8 games. I think the contrary, but hopefully this woke you guys up. That offense is still something. Just needs a little tweak, but it's definitely getting there. That Eagles defense, not to joke with, people need to understand this Eagles team, the way it looked, if it just gels together, which it will soon enough, it's just going to be probably an unstoppable force. It is scary. It is that damn scary good. Our defense put up a huge fight against your offense, I would say. Even our O-line did miraculously a lot better with two of the starting guards out.
Yep. Oh, okay. All right, well, thanks for the... Sorry about that. Well, thanks for the call, Neil. Yeah, and we will, and again, we'll get to the Eagles. We'll get to the Eagles here quickly. Before that, let's go to Chris in Kansas. Chris in Kansas, you're on Live at Donovan, man. What's on your mind?
Well, I think this Deion Sanders and Colorado Buffalo situation highlights the Achilles heel of the black community, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
When Deion left Jackson State to take the Colorado job, what was the thing that all the pro blacks were saying about Deion?
Yeah, they were saying, he turned their back. He turned their backs on the black community. He turned his back on the HBCUs. Yeah, they chastised him for having gone out and gotten another opportunity.
Yeah, led by Dr. Umar Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
and it just highlights how the majority of us in our community lack perspective. Because I even had debates about with my family members about this.
Really?
And here's what I thought. Yeah. So my first thought was, okay, one, Jackson State's not paying him enough.
No, of course not.
Number one. Number two, his kids were having things stolen from them.
Yep.
Even Deion got his office broken into at one point.
Yep.
Number three, here's the thing. When you take opportunities like this for Deion, I think what people failed to see was, one, Deion's going to turn that program around.
Right.
I mean, there's no question about it.
Of course.
But number two, he's gonna bring his own staff with him, especially if they're majority black. So here's what's going to happen. He's going to create a pipeline of young black head coaches, and they're going to disperse amongst the Power 5 schools or other programs, and there you go. Now you have black men in positions of leadership.
There you go.
And I think, it was just baffling to me how nobody could see that, because we complained about, hey, there's a lack of black coaches in college football in the NFL. You got a guy named Dion who can open the door for, a lot of young black men out there for positions of leadership, and now you're going to drag them because you're in your feelings, and that just really annoyed me.
Thanks for the call, Chris. Yeah, Chris, look, man, it didn't surprise me. It didn't surprise me that Dion listen, man, Dion caught most of the heat that Dion caught was from the black community. Just like he said, led by Dr. Umar Johnson. Right? These pro-blackity blacks, just like Chris in Kansas says, they lack perspective. All they do is they're in their feelings. He betrayed us. He turned their backs on us. Dude. And Chris actually was he points out something that not a lot of people talk about when it came to the HBCU. Number one, yeah, they weren't paying him enough, and that's fine. I get it. That's fine. If look, Jackson State doesn't have the same budget that Colorado does. But number two, remember what Chris said, people were stealing shit from his kids. They know that Shador and Shiloh are the sons of Deion Sanders. They know this. And so they know these guys are going to have jewelry. They're going to have the latest phones and gadgets. And so what do niggas do? Niggas steal. How the fuck you going to break into Deion Sanders' office? You know what I'm saying? Dude, this just goes to show. Shout out to Jackson State, but this is what happens when you let niggas in college, man. This is what happens when you let niggas in college. That shit ain't going down in Colorado. That shit doesn't go down nowhere but HBCUs. And look, listen, you pro-blackity blacks, miss me in the comments with, well, I heard this one time. Seriously? Which school do you think is more likely, which school coach do you think is more likely to get broken into? Jackson State or Bama? Thank you. It is what it is. And I don't give a fuck. I honestly, man, I don't give a fuck about the black community coming after me. Fuck it. I'm telling it what it is. One of the reasons Deion Sanders got the hell out of Jackson State is because he was tired of dealing with niggas. He really was. The fuck you got to worry about niggas breaking into your office for? Seriously? I'd have gone to Colorado too. I'd have got the fuck out of there as soon as possible. Sorry. Oh, that's Deion's kid. Yeah, let's break into his dorm room. Fuck out of here with that nonsense. All right, let us go to Marcus in New Jersey. You're on Live with Donovan.
Hey, what's going on, big brother?
What's up, brother?
I'm gonna say something about Deion Sanders, man.
Okay.
He's changing the college. He's changing the college football platform right now, man. It's a hot commodity. He had the most transfers in the portal this year than any other team, I believe it was.
Yeah.
I see Deion Sanders in the next 4 or 5 years. One thing I'm going to say about Deion Sanders, he had the opportunity to coach for Florida State, his alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
He turned him down
Mm-hmm.
and hired Noel. And I'm glad that he went to a loser team to build them up, build their prestige, because they won a championship. I think it was 1990, I believe it was, Colorado.
Yeah, that was with the I think that was with the Eric Bieniemy squad. I could be wrong, but yeah, they won a split national championship in 1990. It was between them and I think Washington, but don't quote me on that.
Got you. I'm gonna say this: when it comes to Alabama, I'm gonna go back on Deion real quick. But with Alabama, they're in trouble, man. With these portals and Texas coming to the SEC, Florida State going to the SEC, a lot of things are going to change, man. These teams that Nick Saban teams that used to dominate LSU teams, they're not going to be the same. It's going to be a lot of teams that's coming into that conference. It's going to be basically an NFL AAA league. Alabama, they're still going to be there. They're not going to reach the top like they used to be, that pinnacle. Now, as far as Deion Sanders, I could see Deion Sanders staying in Colorado for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in my heart. I'm a Falcons fan. I believe in my heart. Arthur Smith, if he don't do anything this year, even though he got to win against Carolina in an ugly game, and give it another 2 or 3 years, he doesn't do anything. I believe Deion Sanders, maybe within the 3 years, will leave Colorado, go to Atlanta.
No,
he's going to have that GM position.
No. Hold on. Let me stop you right there. I want you to really, really understand this, Marcus. There is a difference. Like college football and the NFL, those are two different sports in terms of what happens off the field. The reason why Deion is able to have such an impact on these young men's lives is because they are young, okay? But coaching in the NFL, that's a whole different thing, Marcus. You're dealing with 53 alpha males, most of which who are already millionaires. The reason, and this is why college coaches most of the time don't do well in the pros. They're used to being able to call the shots. Hey, you're going to come to practice here and da 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 da. But now with the new collective bargaining agreement, it really restricts what happens in the preseason, which is why a lot of teams struggled offensively in week 1, as I'll go through here in a minute. Now, I will say this. I think that Deion could probably get a head coaching job in the NFL, but I don't think it'll be his lack of coaching acumen or his lack of being able to get free agents. But it's the system in the NFL will not allow him to be as successful as quickly, because how many people did he bring over from the transfer portal? Like 68 or 70 kids. You can't sign 68 to 70 free agents because there is a thing in the NFL called the salary cap. I do like the idea, but I don't think Deion's going to jump to the NFL, at least not yet. I think it would be a mistake for him to go to the NFL. I think he has a lot more impact on young black people in the black community staying in college football. I'll give you the last word.
No, I agree with you on that. I mean, we could agree to disagree. I look at it like this. Deion Sanders, when he started with Jackson State, he brought in celebrities about, managing your money. He told about his own experience managing money.
Brittany Renner.
That could translate to the NFL. Yeah. Forget that hoe.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right about that, though. But I believe that it would translate in NFL as well, because Atlanta, before Michael Vick, it was Deion Sanders. Then it was Michael Vick. When he played against San Fran and they played against Atlanta, he intercepted that ball against I think it was Bert Emanuel, I believe it was, and took it back.
Yep.
He said, "It's the house I built at Jordan Dome." I believe he could build that house at Mercedes-Benz Stadium and bring all the Atlanta fans in just for the nostalgia. Say this guy can actually do it.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks for the call, Marcus. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, brother. Take care, man.
Listen, on the flip side, it would be very interesting. It'd be very, very interesting to see how Deion would do in the NFL. But I don't think he could have as big of an impact in the NFL as he does in college football. And part of the reason is the system of college football. And I mean, even now, even with the transfer portal and NIL, like, the leverage still lies with the coaches, right? You're not going to fire. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe this is coming up. I can't ever see a coach being fired in major college football because their quarterback doesn't like the coach. Who knows? But at this point, coaches have a lot more power and influence in college football than they do in the NFL. Tackman Clan Killer 187 says Alabama will be. Hold on. Wait a minute. It says, he says, Mississippi State been building defensive stud, Montez Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, Darius Slay, Chris Jones. Fun fact, Prescott also came from Mississippi State. Yeah, Tackman Killer 187. I knew that, bruh. Trust me. I know about all this, but we're not talking about Mississippi State. We're talking about Jackson State. And there is a big, big difference between Mississippi State and Jackson State. Deion would not have had his office broken into at Mississippi State. There's a reason why it happened to Jacksonville State, because we got niggas at Jacksonville State. That's why. Are there niggas on campus at Colorado? Of course there are. Are there niggas on campus at Mississippi State? You better fucking believe it, but not as many. And that's why that kind of shit doesn't happen. All right, very good. Okay, let's go to, nope, we don't have anybody else in the call queue. Okay, so let's go to, all right, so let's talk about the NFL games. These are going to go up in importance. So the Atlanta Falcons, let me pull up these stats here. So the Atlanta Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons defeated the Carolina Panthers by a score of 24-10. Bryce Young, 20 of 38, 146 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. There's, I mean, what are you going to say? What are you going to say about that? This is how rookie quarterbacks should perform. You're going to have your growing pains. Yes, there are exceptions to the rule. Robert Griffin III, if you guys remember, Robert Griffin III as a rookie with the then Washington Redskins, had to play the New Orleans Saints fresh off of Bounty Gate. And they're like, oh my God, Robert Griffin III is going to get torn up by Cameron Jordan. And what's his name? Jonathan. Oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember that. I have his name in my head. Anyway, man, he's gonna get his head ripped off. And Robert Griffin III went in there and he fucking took it to them boys. He took it to them boys and got the W. Cam Newton, I think he's the only quarterback to have ever thrown for 400 yards in his first ever 2 NFL starts. Matt Ryan, the first completion he ever completed in the NFL was a 60-something yard touchdown. Those are exceptions to the rule. And Matt Ryan and Cam Newton both played in Super Bowls. There's something to be said about that. But I didn't expect Bryce Young to light it up. He's going to have the slow progression, just like every other quarterback is. I think he is an exceptional talent, but by the same token, it's not. Pardon me, but by the same token, his size and his stature, et cetera, he's going to have to progress the way he progresses. I think his numbers will. I mean, like I said before, he'll probably end up with, I don't know. He looks like at this point a 25 touchdown, 17 to 20 interception guy. Right? I don't mind. I don't mind if my quarterbacks throw interceptions, guys. I like my quarterbacks to go for it. I like my quarterbacks to have confidence, squeeze it in the window. I'd rather my quarterback throw interceptions than thrown out of bounds or taking a sack if it's not the smart thing to do. Desmond Ridder actually played a very good game. 15 for 18, 115 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He's clearly not the guy in Atlanta. Bijan Robinson scored his very first NFL touchdown. So that was excited. That was very exciting to see. This game was otherwise very, very pedestrian. The Browns absolutely dump trucked the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals, 24-3. To me, this is not cause for concern. Let me take a look at the stats here. So Joe Burrow goes 14 of 31, 82 yards. Right, guys, listen. We've been here before. A couple of years back, Joe Burrow got his appendix taken out. And I think they were 1-3, 2-3 their first 4 or 5 games, whatever the case may be. They ended up in the Super Bowl that year. Joe Burrow was dealing with a calf injury, and the calf injury sidelined him for a lot of training camp. It sidelined him for a good portion of training camp. It is what it is. He'll be fine. Jamar Chase, still with the disrespect, says we lost to a bunch of elves. Right? Now, here's another thing. Deshaun Watson didn't really look that good. He didn't look that good. And to be honest with you, I don't really know of any quarterback that one of the very few quarterbacks that had a very good offensive day was Tua Tagovailoa, and we will get to that in a little bit. But Deshaun Watson didn't look good. Joe Burrow didn't look good. And this is what I want to say. About training camp, the new collective bargaining agreement. A lot of coaches just don't play their players during the regular season, right? Or during the preseason, right? You guys know how that goes, right? They just don't do it. And because preseason is now shorter because of the 17-game season, players can't hit. Guys are going to get rusty. They're going to be a little bit rusty. So all of the defenses are going to be ahead of the offenses theoretically, right? D-Wee says Deshaun missed 2 years. He might be washed. I don't think look, anything is possible. Anything's possible. But guys, let's slow down. Because washed or not, Cleveland committed. They gave him $230 million guaranteed. They didn't give that to him for just no reason. Yes, they're the Cleveland Browns. They're not a very well-run organization. But they wouldn't give $230 million guaranteed to a scrub. That's not what any organization would do. All right, let me turn this. I'm gonna shrink the audience because we got some knuckleheads in here. There we go. All right, now we're good. Now we're good to go. Okay, cool. Members only. Members only. Okay, very good. Excellent. Excellent. All right, let's move on to the next game here. So, yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars came back to defeat the Indianapolis Colts 31-21. Trevor Lawrence, decent game. 24-32, 241, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Had a QBR of 64.7. I like the QBR. Rating. I like the quarterback rating. It's more complete. 50 is average, 100 is perfect. No one knows how passer rating works. He has a perfect passer rating of 153.8. Huh? No, I like the QBR rating. And they actually did this almost 10 years ago. They almost did this. Like ESPN came up with their own sort of rating system, quarterback rating, QBR. I think that's more accurate because it takes into account everything. Running, throwing, seeing the field, etc. Anthony Richardson went 24 of 37 with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. That is a lot better than I thought he would do. Of course, he got his rushing touchdown, but that's a lot. That is a lot better than I thought he would do. All right, before we go to the next game, let's go to Jay Blaze in Maine. Jay Blaze, what you got?
Hey, yeah, I was a little surprised with Joe Burrow, but then I realized, oh yeah, he didn't play any of the preseason, and he was rusty as hell.
Yep.
But yeah, I didn't think Deshaun played too well, and I think he has a monster breathing down his neck in that rookie.
You think so?
They got I think they got to steal the draft. The Browns did.
Wow. And who was the player? Who did the Browns get in the draft?
It was one of the hyphenated names, but he was the quarterback that was.
Dorian Thompson-Roberts, DTR from UCLA.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he's a steal the draft.
Wow, DTR the steal the draft. All right, Jay Blaze coming in with another hot take. Yeah, Tony Johnson still isn't. By the way, Tony is still attacking my payment processors, guys. Like he's still attacking my payment processors and my websites. Like this knucklehead won't give up. It's over. Let's go to the next game. This is one of the slight surprises here. Baker and the Buccaneers go into Minnesota and knock off the Minnesota Vikings. Of course, Kirk Cousins, 33 of 44, 344 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. He's on my fantasy team. I'm glad of that. Baker didn't do too bad. 21 of 34, 173, 2 and none, which definitely works. Definitely works. I've always liked Baker Mayfield, man. I know he's not the most talented. He was definitely overdrafted when the Jets took him, or the Jets, Jesus Christ, when the Browns took him number 1 overall. But I've always liked Baker Mayfield. I've always liked his swag. You know, Kirk Cousins, what can we say? And we also have to understand too is that the Vikings no longer have Dalvin Cook. They no longer have Dalvin Cook, and when you don't have that running game, I mean, Alexander Mattison is back there if he's still with the team. But when you don't have Dalvin Cook, you don't have your closer. You don't really have your closer. Let's see. Let's go to the next game here. Yeah, this was another snooze fest. The Saints edge the Tennessee Titans by the score of 16 to 15. Derek Carr, 23 of 33, 305 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. New Orleans is the perfect place for Derek Carr. They were my pick. They are and were my pick to win the NFC South. I think they're the best team in the South by a mile. We'll see about that. Suffolk's Finest says, the steal of the draft was Jalen Carter. Absolutely. Jalen Carter was the steal of the draft. He was the best player in the draft, and he fell all the way. To the Eagles, I think at 8 or 9. Ryan Tannehill goes 16 of 34 for 196, no touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. I think time is beginning to run out for Ryan Tannehill. If you guys all remember, he was the number 5 overall pick of the Miami Dolphins years and years ago. Didn't necessarily work out in Miami. So I think, so the Titans picked him up off waivers, and Tannehill actually did very, very well. I think they've been to the playoffs a few times, even won AFC championship game. But Ryan Tannehill got shipped out of Miami for a reason. I'm not saying that he's a terrible quarterback, Not saying he's a great or a terrible quarterback, but it's and he's on up there in age too. It's time for the Titans to start thinking about, and they drafted Will Levis out of Kentucky. They also have the other kid out of Liberty, supremely gifted athlete. Clearly, he doesn't know how to read defenses. You guys know how that works. But yeah, this is one of the snooze fests of the game. And look, shout out to the New Orleans Saints. They held Derrick Henry. Let's see where Derrick Henry's. Yeah, they held Derrick Henry 15 carries, 63 yards. Yeah, he averaged 4.2 yards a carry, which is actually pretty good. That is actually pretty good. Roadblock 85 with the $10 super chat says, Big Don, you have a new product on your hand, fams. You not only know your shit, but you have good sports commentary voice. This is really good stuff, bro. While I'm doing it, it never looks, sounds, or feels like it's going that well. It never really does. But I listen to it afterwards. It always sounds better the second time around. I will most definitely get better at this for sure. But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your support. The next game. Yeah, the Baltimore Ravens 25-9. This wasn't really an impressive win for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson didn't really play that well. Let me bring up his stats. Yeah, actually, Lamar Jackson goes 17 of 22 for 169 yards, no touchdowns and interception. Hey, look, 17 of 22, he only 5 incompletions, but the no pass, the no touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, I chalk this up to offensive rust. You guys are gonna have to understand. Even the Cowboys, I think they scored 14 points on offense. Most of their points came on defense and special teams. And when you're coming out. When you are at the beginning of any football season, the defenses are always going to be a step or so ahead of the offenses because offenses are timing and rhythm based, right? On defense, just blow shit up. That's all you got to do. See the ball, tackle the ball carrier, strip the ball, etc., etc. This isn't to say that defensive players can't. This isn't to say that defensive players don't think or that they're not smart. But really, as a defensive player, you are paid to wreak havoc. You are paid to blow shit up. That's it. Offenses, they got to do what the defense gives them. Offenses go as the defenses go. So I think Lamar, look, and oh my God, yes, of course, the big story. The big story of that game was the loss of J.K. Dobbins. Dude, J.K. Dobbins, man, he ruptured his Achilles, and so for the second time in 4 years, he's going to miss the entire season, man. And J.K. Dobbins is a good guy, been in the community. It's just one of these things, man. It's just, unfortunately, it's just one of these. He's injury prone. At least it would appear that he is injury prone. So yeah, J.K. Dobbins he's going to be out for the year. He's got the Achilles. Also, the Ravens were also hit with a big time injury bug. Looks like safety Marcus Williams left the game for a little while. Left tackle Ronnie Stanley had to leave the game, and of course the center, Linderbaum. So the Ravens, man, they can't win for losing with this injury bug. I keep waiting for the injury bug to hit the Eagles because we have been very fortunate in terms of the injury bug. We lost Jalen for a couple of games, lost Lane Johnson for a few games, which really hurt us. But by and large, we lost Dallas Goedert for a little while. So yeah, we're not immune to the injury bug as well. I'm just hoping. That good throw. I'm just hoping that the same thing does not happen to the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, let me make sure that there are any other. Okay, very good. Let me go to the next game here. Yes, the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders beat the lowly Cardinals. Not much really to say here. Let me find the stats here. Sam Howell is the starting quarterback. So Josh Dobbs for the Cardinals goes 21 of 30, 132 yards, no touches, no picks. Sam Howell 19 of 31, 202, 1-1. Not good, but not bad. His QBR is 45.5. Josh Dobbs' QBR was 21-1. James Conner was the leading rusher, averaging 14 yards or 4 yards a carry. Brian Robinson Jr. led the way for the Commanders. The Commanders are not going to be very good this season, and neither are the Cardinals. A lot of people think. Tend to think. They watch out for this team. Washington was one such team, but they're just not that good. They're not that good. Yeah, they did okay, and I think Ron Rivera might be coaching for his job. He might be coaching for his job. Now, Ron Rivera is a defensive head coach. Now, you stopped a Cardinals offense that doesn't really have any marquee players, but hey, you beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and you move on. But I don't think this means anything for the Washington Commanders. They beat a team they were supposed to beat, and that's that. That's just all I have to say about that. Let's move to the next game here. This was one of the marquee games that a lot of people were looking forward to. Jordan Love versus Justin Fields. Now, let me find the score here. Now, one thing I will tell you right off the bat, while I'm looking for my notes here, is Justin Fields. They need to get Justin Fields an offensive line, guys. They need to get Justin Fields an offensive line. I don't care, dude. You can put anyone back there. You can put Jim McMahon back there. You can put Sid Luckman back there. It doesn't matter. Nobody can throw if they don't have time to throw. And even though Justin Fields is a very mobile quarterback, he can't do it all by himself. He just can't do it all by himself. Jordan Love, on the other hand, had a very, very good debut. 15 of 27, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. And he did this without Christian Watson. Christian Watson is their fastest and most reliable receiver. Christian Watson, of course, famously dropped in Minnesota when Green Bay went up to Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers hits him on a wide open cross. It just bounced off Christian Watson's hands. Aaron obviously was kind of, didn't really trust him after that, but then later on in the year, he started to build that trust. I had notes here. Give me a second here. There we are. Yeah, I didn't have any Christian Watson. Jordan Love had a QBR of, I think, 71. Having a QBR of 71, guys, that is listen, Jalen Hurts had a QBR of 68 last year, which led the NFL. So that really tells you what kind of a game Jordan Love played. Let me look at some other stats here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think the Bears, they're going to lose double-digit games again. They're going to be in the top 10 in the draft again. I think what the Bears need to do, they need offensive line. It does not matter how talented or fast your quarterback is. If there is no offensive line, you're going to waste him. David Carr, famously the first ever overall pick of the Houston Texans, was sacked 72 times in his rookie season. He was never the same after that. Andrew Luck prematurely retired just 7 years into the league because he was tired of getting beat up. Now, I'm not saying Justin Fields is going to retire early. I'm not saying he's going to retire early, but they don't really know what they have because they don't have an offensive line. You got to be able to protect the quarterback, man. Got to be able to protect the quarterback. As far as Jordan Love is concerned, it appears that he is the real deal. Again, this is one game. This is one game over a bad team. Green Bay, clearly the better team. Chicago, not a very good team. They were supposed to go in there. They were supposed to go in there and beat them up. They did what they had to do. Oh, this particular game, the Los Angeles Rams against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Seattle Seahawks are a lot of people's darlings, right? Because, Geno Smith, comeback player of the year. They make the playoffs. They actually they played the 49ers pretty tough. Yeah, they played the Niners pretty tough. I can't remember if they actually won a playoff game or not. I should know that. Matthew Stafford, 24 of 38, 334 yards, no touches, no picks, and 88.9 QBR. I remember saying specifically that the LA Rams might be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. I was thinking, like a lot of other people, they're going to trade Aaron Donald. They're going to trade Cooper Kupp, who, by the way, didn't play yesterday. They're going to trade Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford clearly showed, nope, ain't no way we're doing this. So now the question we're all asking ourselves is, was Geno Smith sort of a flash in the pan last year? Because Geno Smith came out of nowhere. We thought the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson were going to go into Seattle on that first Monday night game and just boat race him. That's not what happened. Geno Smith outplayed Russell Wilson that game and for the rest of the season, but Geno didn't look too good yesterday. Went 16 of 26, 112 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, was sacked twice for 17 yards. Geno can move, but he is a little older. He is in his early 30s. That Rams defense, dude, the Rams defense, Aaron Donald is back. Now, Bobby Wagner did play for the Rams. He's now back with the Seahawks, but the fact that the Seahawks gave up 30 points, they need Jamal Adams back. They need Jamal Adams back. You gotta Jamal Adams you gotta have him back. If the Seahawks can't can't give up 30 points to a depleted LA Rams team. If it's going to be like this, if it's going to be like this from week to week, it's going to be a very, very long season for the Seattle Seahawks. This was the game of the day. The Miami Dolphins winning in a wild shootout against the Los Angeles Chargers, 36-34. Tua Tagovailoa goes 28 of 45, 466 yards, and 3 touchdowns, had 1 interception, a QBR of 87. 87. Justin Herbert, not as impressive. 23 of 33, 228 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, QBR of 51, a little above average. Here's where the Chargers might be in trouble. On the offensive side of the football, they're fine. You got Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, Rashawn Slater on, one of the best left tackles in football. The offense is fine. They hung 34 on a very good Dolphins team. Defense is where they're going to be in trouble. They have the highest, I think they have the most expensive defense in the NFL. Let me find my notes on this. Yes. They have the most expensive defense in the NFL. They've got Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. And by the way, I think it was, J.C. Jackson and Joey Bosa playing on the same field for the first time in, forever, right? But Brandon Staley is a defensive head coach. He's a defensive head coach, guys. He's supposed to have that defense on lock. Well, the Chargers have given him the resources and the players, and they're terrible on defense. Now, look, covering the likes of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, absolutely. That's going to keep defensive coordinators up for a while. But if you are, Derwin James, thank you. Derwin James is always hurt. Supremely gifted, always hurt. But schematically, man, you have to be able to make a stop. You got to be able to make a stop. Brandon Staley was already on the hot seat. Kellen Moore might actually be the Chargers head coach before the end of the year. I think they're going to fire Brandon. If this continues to go like this, they're going to fire Brandon Staley. They're going to make Kellen Moore the head coach, and then they're going to bring in a good defensive coordinator. The Chargers cannot afford. Dude, you put up 34 points and lose, the offense is going to be feeling some type of way about the defense. I got Marcus in New Jersey and Apollo from Pittsburgh on the line. I'll get to you guys here shortly. The Dallas Cowboys beat the New York Giants 40-0. Guys, this is not a big deal. And listen, I'll admit my bias. Here. It's one game against a really bad football team that overpaid their quarterback. They're paying their quarterback $40 million a year when they should be paying him closer to $25. Look, Daniel Jones is he's a comparable NFL quarterback. But he's not that good, man. He's really not. Had his best season last year, but even that was mediocre. Wait, dude, 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, or some pedestrian number like that. And he can move. He's very, very good in the pocket. He can definitely move. But when you got Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Stephon Gilmore, Trayvon Diggs, Leighton Vander Esch, you're not going to outrun those guys. We're not going to outrun those guys. Man, that defense is fast and violent. Again, fast and violent. I don't think New York was ready to play. I really, really don't. And that's a tough thing to say about a guy like Brian Daboll. I can't ever imagine that a Brian Daboll-led team was not ready to play, but that's exactly what the hell it looked like. 40-0. But Cowboy fan, relax. You won in a blowout on the road against a bad football team. And your offense looked pedestrian at best. All right, let's go to the phone lines here before we talk about the rest of the games. Let's go back to Marcus in New Jersey. Marcus in New Jersey, what you got for me?
Hey, big brother, I have 2 quick questions for you.
You got it.
Do you think it's time for Russell Wilson to hang it up?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
No. And the reason I say this, and here's the thing, and I'll let you get to your next question. Russell Wilson isn't, he's not washed, right? He's clearly not who he used to be, but he's only 34 years old. We know that quarterbacks are playing, hell, Brady just retired. He's 45, 46 years old. Aaron Rodgers turns 40 in December. My point is this. I have never seen in my lifetime or ever heard of a quarterback of Russell Wilson's ilk and stature go from good to terrible in one season. I don't think he should hang it up just because of one season. I think the reason why a lot of people want him to hang it up is because we just don't like who he is. We just don't like him. Like white people think he's too corporate and too buttoned up, and black people think he's too corporate and too buttoned up. Sean Payton said to Russell Wilson this past week, "Hey, stop kissing fucking babies. You're not running for public office." So I think his personality makes it very easy for us to say that, hey, it's over for Russell Wilson. But I don't. Again, you got Sean Payton. He is a Super Bowl winning head coach. He coached Drew Brees for the better part of 15 years. I can't imagine him not being able to fix Russ. It's possible, but I doubt it. Go ahead with your next question.
Not a problem. I agree with you on that.
Okay.
My other question is, when it comes to the Hall of Fame, it's outside the box of what you're talking about right now. With the scores and this week. Now with the Hall of Fame, quick question for you.
Sure.
Emmitt Smith is the leading rusher in all-time history.
Right.
They label the Dallas Cowboys as the greatest O-line of all time, but they forgot about the Moose. My question is,
yes.
Do you think the Moose should be in the Hall of Fame as well?
1,000%. 1,000%. And so what Marcus is talking about, he's talking about Daryl Moose Johnston. Daryl Johnston, I believe, was the X factor in that Cowboys dynasty. Because it's interesting. You can go back and watch Emmitt Smith's Hall of Fame speech. He says, "I love you, Daryl, and I would not be here without you." So, Mike, yes, I 1,000% believe that Moose Johnston definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I think honorable mention goes to, remember Tom Rathman from the 49ers from back in the late 80s, early 80s?
Yes, with Brent Jones. Yes, sir.
There you go.
Tom Taylor. Yes,
Yep, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, so Moose Johnston, to me, was a rich man's Tom Rathman. Tom Rathman won a few Super Bowls. I think he won one with Joe Montana and then again one with Steve Young. Super Bowl 29 when they dump trucked the San Diego Chargers. But yeah, I absolutely think that Daryl Moose Johnston definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame. He don't get me wrong. Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Nate Newton. I mean, dude, listen, they had one of the great, Larry Allen, Hall of Fame, left tackle lineman. But I believe that without Moose Johnston playing the role that he played, I don't think the Cowboys would be as good as they are. I'll give you the last word.
I also believe, I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to let you go.
No, take your time.
I believe also that Andre Rison should be in the Hall of Fame. The reason why, because he's the second player in history besides Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is the first one to have 60 touchdown receptions in 5 years. Now, we haven't seen that yet in the NFL era, even though, coverage is more soft. You can't bump. You can't, you can bump. You can't go past 5 yards. They give you leeway back in the 80s and the late 80s and the 90s. Even Deion said that Andre Rison should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, this man won a championship against New England Patriots with Brett Favre with that pass.
I remember. He
caught that touchdown and scored. Do you believe he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame?
You know what? I'm going to do this with you right here on the phone. Andre Rison. So I'm going to look up Andre Rison's numbers because I have never, ever thought of him as a Hall of Famer. So let's see. Andre Rison.
Can Can I say this real quick as well?
Yeah,
He's
go
the
ahead.
first receiver. He's the first receiver to be the highest paid when he left Atlanta to go to Cleveland.
Okay.
$17 million. Not Jerry Rice, not Chris Carter, not Art Monk, not O.J. Duffy, not Haywood Jeffries.
You mean O.J.
not,
McDuffie?
Jake Reed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because, in the 90s, it was stacked with receivers.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so I'm going to put his numbers up. I'm going to put his numbers up next to Tim Brown. Tim Brown is, to me, that's the closest comp I can come up with. So to compare their statistics.
You could put Michael Irvin as well because they
Oh.
both had the same receptions and
Okay.
identical. You could also put Michael Irvin with you. Only separate them is Super Bowl rings. He
Okay,
has 3.
all right.
Rison has 1.
Okay. And I don't think you can use, and I think you'll agree, I don't think you can use Super Bowl rings as a barometer for a wide receiver. Because Randy Moss never won it. Yeah, Randy Moss and Terrell Owens, neither one of them won Super Bowls, but they're the second and third greatest receivers of all time, respectively. So here's what we have here. Here's what we've got here. You
could put Elliott. You could put Elliott for the Rams as well because Elliott with the Rams, he has over 10,000 yards, 80 reception touchdowns, and he never won a Super Bowl, but he's considered one of the best era receivers in the 80s.
Wow. Okay, so let's do this. So Michael Irvin, career receptions, 750. Andre Rison, 743. Receiving yards, Michael Irvin, 11,904. Receiving yards for Andre Rison, 10,205. Receiving touchdowns, Michael Irvin, 65. Andre Rison, 84. You want to know something, Marcus? I agree with you. I think Andre Rison should definitely be in the Hall of Fame because his numbers are comparable to Michael Irvin, one of the greatest receivers ever. That is very interesting. I never thought of it that way.
I appreciate it, big brother. I love sports, man. So I'm glad you got this channel, man. I love you, man. You take care of yourself.
Keep it coming, brother. Keep it coming. I like that. Wow, I'd never looked at their statistics side by side. But Michael Irvin only has 1,000 yards more receptions. He's only got 7 more receptions career, and Andre Rison has almost 20 more touchdown receptions. How about that? Andre Rison. Andre Bad Moon Rison. Damn. All right. Shout out to Marcus. All right, let's go to Apollo in Pittsburgh. Apollo, what you got, brother?
Well, not a lot of good news coming from Pittsburgh.
Oh my God!
After that beatdown that happened yesterday.
Hey man, look, you guys lost to a possible legit Super Bowl contender.
Right.
So I don't think you can hang your head about that.
No, and it just shows just like we have a way to go to get to the likes of 49ers, Eagles, even Dallas. It's just as far as getting there. So it's one game. And there's a lot to be learned from it. But man, I wish it wouldn't have been such a lopsided affair.
Well, like I said earlier, defenses are always one step ahead of offenses or a half step ahead of offenses early in the season. And what it really comes down to, holy shit, I did not know that Josh Donaldson was in AAA. Okay. Wow, that's a surprise. So it didn't surprise me. But dude, the Niners, their defense is awesome. They got, honestly, man, Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, they remind me a lot of Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman from back in like 10, 11, 12, 13.
I remember them.
Yeah, man, like Fred Warner is, honestly, man, I can't think of a middle linebacker in football who is any better than him. Maybe I'm missing somebody, but I think he is the best inside linebacker in football. Nick Bosa is easily the best defensive end in football, and I'm surprised that Nick Bosa played as many snaps as he did because he signed his contract 15 minutes ago. 20 minutes later, he's on the football field, and I think he probably played 50 or 60 snaps.
Yeah, it just shows us where. I wish our defense would have caught up to their offense, was ahead of their offense. Clearly, we were behind the 8 ball from the get-go. So, but like you said, it's one game, and I think we'll bounce back from it and learn. It's just we got some growing pains to do, man.
Hey, man, I've been there, dude. Trust me. As an Eagles fan, I have been on the other side of these lopsided losses. It's good to be on the other side of these, but I feel your pain. Listen, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, if there's one thing we know, Mike Tomlin is going to right the ship. And for those of you guys who are casual sports fans, this is his 17th season coaching with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's the youngest coach to have ever won a Super. No, he's the second youngest coach ever to have won a Super Bowl. Sean McVay is the first. Before then, I believe it was I forgot who it was before. But the point is, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season ever in his entire tenure in Pittsburgh. I think he's going to get that defense together. I think Kenny Pickett and George Pickens, I think they're going to be a marquee tandem in the AFC. I'll give you the last word.
I definitely agree. And then one thing what Marcus brought up as far as, Hall of Fame, what I guess kind of bothers me is how Hines Ward is not in the Hall of Fame. You got a guy, 1,000 receptions, 12,083 yards, 85 touchdowns. But Calvin Johnson, who I love Megatron, has over 200 less catches, less yards, less touchdowns, but he went in on the first ballot. And I know you say rings don't matter, but Hines Ward has 2 and a Super Bowl MVP.
Ooh. Uh-oh. You know what? Hold on. Let's do it side by side here. Yep. Super Bowl 40, Super Bowl 43. I think he threw a touchdown pass. I think it's Super Bowl 43 to Antoine Randall, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So
no, he caught it from Randall.
Oh, he caught it from Antoine Randall. That's right. Yeah, Antoine Randall, he was like a fucking Swiss Army knife, man. That guy was like, what do you do with that, right? Okay, so so Calvin Johnson. So Calvin Johnson, 731 career receptions. Hines Ward, 1,000 career receptions. Receiving yards. Calvin Johnson, 11,619. Hines Ward, 12,083. Yards per. Now the only thing that Johnson has here are the yards per reception, and so he had 15.9 yards per reception compared to Hines Ward and 12.1 yards. And listen, Calvin Johnson was a better athlete than Ward. I don't think anybody can dispute that. But receiving touchdowns, Calvin Johnson 83, Hines Ward 85. You've got more receptions, more receiving yards, and more touchdowns than Megatron. And you have 2 more rings. He absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why he's not there.
I agree. And, I know people will say, oh, Calvin, he hung it up early, otherwise he would have. But, hey,
it was what it was.
He was a better athlete, first round pick, a freak of nature. He ran the 40 with somebody else's shoes on at the combine.
Yep, I remember that.
Even his own. And but you had Hines Ward, third round pick, was a Swiss Army knife at Georgia, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and got 1,000 yards over 12,000, 1,000 catches, 12,000 yards, 85 touchdowns, 2 Super Bowl rings, Super Bowl MVP, and you're not even in.
Yeah, I don't know why. But they let Drew Pearson in after he bitched and moaned about being in the Hall of Fame for all these years. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
Wow. That is fantastic. Dude, so Hines Ward and Andre Rison. Uh-oh. Apollo, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I thought I lost you. So Hines Ward and Andre Rison, 2 receivers that should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. I'll give you the last word.
I just, Calvin Johnson, again, I love Megatron. Hell,
of course.
I use him on Madden a ton. But
hell yeah.
Feeling like you get in on your first ballot and Hines Ward is still sitting.
Yep.
That just kind of has a, little bone of contention to pick with me.
Good stuff, man. Apollo from the 412, checking in, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Don.
No problem, man. All right, let's go to Jay Blaze in Maine. Oh, wait a minute. Let's go to Jay Blaze in Maine. Jay Blaze in Maine. What's going on, brother?
Hey, Don. Do you have any concerns? I know Tua put up a bunch of tutties and yards, but are you concerned that your fantasy life is dependent on Tua's health?
No, actually, I probably because I've got 2 fantasy teams. One was auto drafted for me, and I ended up with Kirk Cousins, who is definitely a stat monger. But no, I think because in my other league I do have Tua, but the backup is Trevor Lawrence, and so I don't think any one player was going to dictate the way my fantasy life goes. I think that if Tyreek Hill gets hurt, I think that could definitely hurt for sure. What about you?
I would be concerned if I had Waddle and Tyreek and the health of Tua because don't you have Waddle and Tyreek?
Yeah. Yeah, is if Tua can stay upright, if he can stay healthy, then yeah, the sky's the limit. And remember, Skylar Thompson, came in for the Miami Dolphins, went into Buffalo and gave Buffalo all they could handle in Buffalo. So that was a good game. I think the Dolphins are for real though. I think the Dolphins are for real, and I don't have them in my playoffs. So, all right, let's go back to Chris in Kansas. Chris in Kansas, what you got for me?
Well, I guess I'll have to give you the Cowboys fan perspective.
Okay.
Number one, I was very impressed with the defense last night.
Absolutely.
Without Donovan Wilson.
Yes. Oh, wow. Good point.
Who's pretty much their enforcer back
Yep.
there. But this Cowboys defense, though, is not built. Well, it's not built to stop the run necessarily.
Sure.
They basically play nickel on every down.
Yeah.
They play every down.
That's because that's because of all the athletes they have in their front seven and in their back four. They can afford to play nickel and dime because you got Micah Parsons and Leighton Vander Esch. Then you've got DeMarcus Lawrence on the line and those other studs. So yeah, it's a luxury they have.
Absolutely, but I think it's also going to be their Achilles heel against teams like your Eagles or the Niners. It's actually a big reason why the Niners eliminated in the last 2 years.
Yep.
Because their undersized defense
Yes.
really couldn't necessarily play the run like they should have. But I want to get to Kellen Moore.
Yes. Holy moly.
I think that because I've heard the national media talking about Kellen Moore and saying that the Cowboys are going to regret losing him. I don't feel that way at all. In fact,
Really?
I think Dak's going to have a better – no, not at all.
Okay.
Because, the argument that they use is that the Cowboys led the league in offense like the last 2 years or top 5.
Right.
But those stats lack context.
Yeah. They do.
2020. Most of their scoring came from a defensive takeaway.
Right.
So the defense gave them a short field.
Right.
Number one. Number two, a lot of their scoring came against mediocre to below average teams.
Right.
So whenever they went up against a team like, let's say, the 49ers, they looked pedestrian.
Yes.
Dak looked like he never played quarterback ever.
Mm-hmm.
2021, their offense sputtered. Late half of the year. It was actually the defense that started to make a name for itself.
Yes. Carried them.
And we saw the same thing, last year too, where they, looked great against an average team, for example, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like Dak.
Oh,
the
yeah.
offense looked like world beaters.
Of course, that's because
But
Tampa
then,
was terrible.
Against the Niners, they looked terrible.
Right.
And I think the reason why is Dak's not a quarterback that's built to play an offense with long developing routes with wide receivers.
Okay.
He needs to get the ball out quick.
Yes.
He needs to make a quick read. And that's what he was doing last night. So I know you talked about the offense looking pedestrian, but number one, the Cowboys defense plays like that, getting takeaways.
Yeah, they don't have to. Yeah, the offense doesn't have to be. The offense doesn't have to be good, right?
But I think this offense is going to suit Dak better. He's going to cut down the turnovers.
Okay.
And I think he'll have a better year. I mean, the stats may not show it, but he'll have a better year as far as protecting the ball.
Let me ask you this before I let you go. Let's just say I don't see the Cowboys struggling. Based on what I saw last night, yes, they did it against a bad team, but guess what? You're supposed to boat race bad teams. So I'm not going to take that away from them. If the Cowboys, let's say the Cowboys start 4-3, 3-4, 5-6, 6-5, do you think that Jerry Jones would fire Mike McCarthy midseason and bring in Dan Quinn, or will he just keep it there for continuity's?
Well, he kept Jason Garrett for 10 years.
Jesus,
so,
yeah. Well, he thought he was going to fire Jason Garrett every year. He never did.
Here's my philosophy.
Okay.
And no one talked about this either. When Jerry Jones hired Mike McCarthy, one of the conditions that he had to accept the job under was that he had to take Kellen Moore as his OC. Like, that was not his choice.
Oh, I did not know that.
So we're really seeing for the first time Mike McCarthy with his handprints on everything in the organization, including the offense. That's what was happening, and that's why Mike McCarthy was frustrated, because Jerry Jones, you hire a Super Bowl winning head coach.
Yes.
An offensive coach at that, and you're making him defer to a coordinator who hasn't been a coordinator for just a little over 2 years.
Okay.
And he shouldn't. And in my opinion, he never should have been a coordinator in the first place. He started out as a quarterbacks coach, and what Jerry likes to do, Jerry wants to be right all the time. He loves to see himself in the news, so he picks it out like he did with Jason Garrett, picks out Kellen Moore as his next Sean McVay. And, he believes that, hey, this is the guy. He gets along with my quarterback, Dak Prescott. I'm going to make him the OC. Pretty much what was happening was Kellen Moore was basically running Jason Garrett's offense. Like, no one talked about that.
Yes,
like,
that's right.
All the plays, like that was his playbook, and that's why the offense was looking stale at times against, better than average defenses, because it was too predictable.
Wow. Yeah,
so, I guess to get back to your question, Jerry Jones probably would not fire Mike McCarthy. It wouldn't make sense. Why would you keep Jason Garrett for 10 years and he never gave you a back-to-back playoff season?
Right.
Mike McCarthy's giving you back-to-back 12-win seasons.
Hey,
so
look,
it would
man.
make no sense to fire him.
You know what? I'll tell you what, man. And thanks for the call, Chris. A lot of people tend to forget that Mike McCarthy won Super Bowl 45, guys. He won Super Bowl 45. Like, he is a Super Bowl winning head coach. I think that Mike McCarthy and Brian Billick are probably two of the most disrespected coaches, even though they have won championships. And yeah, Jerry Jones is slow to fire. He kept Jason Garrett for 10 years. They were always going 8-8, 7-9, 9-7, and all the rest of that. But that is a very good point. But Kellen Moore, he's looking good so far down in LA. Justin Herbert and the Chargers just hung, they just hung 34 on the Dolphins. Unfortunately, their defense let them down. But yeah, dude, good call. All right, let us go to Big Brandon. Big Brandon in the house. What's going on, brother?
My man, Donovan.
What's going on, bruh? It's been too long, man. How you been?
It's been way too damn long. I've been fantastic. How about you and yours?
Oh my God. Had a couple of health scares, but other than that, I heard the 21 convention got canceled, so that pretty much made my year.
Hey, ain't God good?
That's exactly right, man. So what you got on football for me, bro?
All right, so the reason the caller earlier was talking about Andre Rison and Michael Irvin having similar stats, and then Hines Ward and Megatron.
Yes.
The issue with, you still have to understand, it's still the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's not the Hall of Stats. Now, unfortunately, while Hines Ward is a good wide receiver, he's above average easily, like better than good, right? He played for a team that was basically defensive focused. Ben Roethlisberger was the star of the team. There was no ancillary stars except for Troy Polamalu.
Right.
So he was kind of lost in the shuffle. So because he wasn't famous outside of Pittsburgh, like, he walked into a club I worked at and none of the girls knew who he was.
Wow.
Right? But, yeah, they didn't know who he was.
Jesus.
But me and my buddy, we watched football. We knew who he was.
Of course.
When Megatron came into the club, he had an aura. So people were like, who's that guy? What does he do? Does he play basketball? We're like, nah, he plays football. Like, you just knew. So it was the energy, I guess you could say, in woman speak, I guess, the vibe or whatever crap. So that's the difference. It's not saying that they're not service. So Andre Rison, he had the star fame. It was marred because of his relationship with Left Eye.
Yes. Oh my God. She burnt down she burned that nigga's house down, man. Yeah, that's exactly what that was.
Right. And the media took it as she burnt down his house as a jilted woman. So that was negative press for him. And then he goes to Cleveland, and they're not good after leaving Atlanta, which is a better media market.
Yes. Okay.
Then he goes to Green Bay, and Green Bay's not a big market. So that's the reason why it's not talent. Talent-wise, yeah, he should be in there just like Hines Ward should be in there.
Right.
Numbers-wise, too, and skill-wise. So most definitely.
Yeah, I think
just with that caller. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're bringing up an element that not a lot of people want to acknowledge, and that is the element of politics. Terrell Owens is easily the second or third greatest receiver ever by a mile.
Right.
And they didn't vote him in on the first ballot, I think, or the second ballot, because they just didn't like who he was. So your opinion in the sports media, unfortunately, it does matter. And to me, listen, man, Lawrence Taylor is in the Hall of Fame, but we all knew he was a crackhead. It's not called the Hall of Ethics. It's called the Hall of Fame.
Yep. Yeah. And, like, there's a video, a TikTok video, and one of the younger players is asking Lawrence Taylor, so did y'all really smoke weed, drink, and do drugs in halftime in the locker room?
Yep.
And Lawrence Taylor looks at him without even blinking. Y'all don't? Like, he looked at him without
oh
blinking,
my
like,
God.
"Y'all
Oh my. Look.
Like,
Let
I'm
me look. Check this out. Let me run this scenario by you. Can you imagine Lawrence Taylor on the 1990s Dallas Cowboys? You talk about.
Oh my God.
Look, the defense was already hellified. But can you imagine the trouble, dude? Michael Irvin and Lawrence Taylor in downtown Dallas. Oh my God.
I'm gonna say it right now. The amount of Cadillacs and Bentleys bought by SA selling 8 balls to either one of them would be astronomical.
I'm trying to tell you.
Right? We would have snow games in the middle of June around here because of those two guys walking into the club. I'd be like, Jesus. Like, oh my God. And I had to deal with Michael when I worked at Baby Dolls.
Oh, really?
And there'd be many a days where, they'd call me and tell me, hey, we need you to come pick up Mike from the club. I'm like, how much have we had to drink? Nothing. I'm like, oh crap.
Shit, that means
And,
that means
it
a
was
fifth.
an eventful time in the 90s.
Yeah, it was definitely. Yeah, I was agreeing with you. It was definitely an eventful time in the 90s. So, are you a Cowboys guy or no?
I don't believe in sticking in abusive relationships.
Are you a victim? Are you a victim of emotional violence from the Cowboys constantly letting you down?
Oh my God! I was trying. At one point, I was like, man, maybe I should start singing or get like a career because I'm getting assaulted more than Tina did.
Oh my God!
Doesn't feel right.
I can say that. Oh my goodness gracious! Big Brandon, I'll give you the.
R.I.P. to her and Proud Mary keep on burning, but I just felt bad there. All right, what were you going to say, my brother?
Yeah, so I'll give you the last word on the NFL season, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, it's just one game. You still got 16 more to go.
Yes.
You have to treat it like a first date with a woman that you find attractive. Next week, she could be sitting up there blowing a friend. I mean, I'm just saying, you might think that she's the one, but she might be somebody else's one right now. You just got to look at it like that.
Oh, my God.
It's just one game.
It's just one game. Big Brandon coming with the straw. Look, I like that apropos, man. Good to talk to you, man. Hopefully we'll talk again soon, man.
Will do, brother. Big love.
Appreciate it. Suffolk's Finest on the Rumble site says, Brandon has a voice that could crack concrete. Yes. I would never, ever, ever throw hands with that dude. Let's go over a couple more games before we cut things here. The Raiders and the Broncos was a very, very interesting game. Russell Wilson, 27 of 34, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, only took 2 sacks, 74.8 QBR. Okay? That's not that. Listen, that's a solid game. But for $48 million a year, I need plays. I need special, right? Like, this is why we're paying you. This is why we gave you $265 million. Because you are the difference in these 1-point ball games. I'm not saying that Russ is washed, not by any stretch of the imagination. But for $48 million, if you're going 27 of 34, I need at least 300 yards. If you're gonna put the ball in the air that much, I need at least 300 yards. So chalk that one up to. And listen, it's gonna take Sean Payton a little while. It's gonna take Sean Payton a little while to right the ship. I will say this though, the Broncos already look better than they did last year. That's the one positive I take away from that. Oh, by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo, who's been to 2 conference title games, 1 Super Bowl appearance, keeps getting passed around like a Hollywood hoe. 20 of 26, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 83.4 QBR. Russ, you cannot allow Jimmy G to come into your house and play a better game than you. Okay, he had 2 touchdowns and the 1 pick, but his QBR was clearly higher. Russell Wilson averaged 5.2 yards per completion. Jimmy G 7.7. It's time to push the ball down the field, man. I think it's time to push the ball down the field. Suffolk's Finest says, I think Russell is still good, no talent in Denver. Yeah, he didn't have Jerry Jeudy. He didn't have Jerry Jeudy. Javonte Williams is kind of hit or miss. But yeah, you guys are saying in the chat, yeah, Russ needs to be more. He needs to run around. That's what brought him a lot of success in Seattle. Now, of course, we come to my game of the day was the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New England Patriots. We squeaked that one out, 25-20. We started off really, really quickly, got out to a 16-0 lead. Darius big play Slay had the pick six. Then Bill Belichick did what Bill Belichick does, and he adjusted. New England carved up the Eagles in the middle of the field, and it was obvious why that was. We no longer have C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who led the NFL with 6 interceptions last year. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was the Eagles' basically the Eagles' center fielder last year. That's why teams couldn't go over the middle with their passes. Well, Bill Belichick and his offensive people saw, oh, wait a minute, C.J. G.J. is no longer back there. We can take advantage of the short crosses, the quick slants. My guess is that they will have that all shored up next year. I will say this about the offense. Jalen Hurts was shockingly average yesterday. He was shockingly average. That's okay. It's one game, and they will get it together. But I'm not panicked. We're still 1-0. We're still the best. We're still one of the best teams in the NFC. I am a little concerned because about halfway through the second quarter, I started to see the difference between Shane Steichen, who is now in Indianapolis, and Sean Desai, who is at, wait a minute. I think Sean Desai is our offensive coordinator. I'm probably getting that wrong. Like, the play calling was just, and again, look, first game of the season, it always takes the offense a little longer to catch up to the defenses. Nick Sirianni didn't play any of his starters during the preseason, so they don't have those reps. It's going to take a little while to get things back in rhythm. I'm not really, look, the game was closer than I thought last night. But you want to know something? Championship teams figure out how to win these games. The Eagles didn't blow out everybody last year. Lest we forget. After the Indianapolis Colts fired Frank Reich and hired Jeff Saturday, the first team he played was the Philadelphia Eagles. And they gave the Eagles they gave us all we could handle. We ended up winning that game by like 3 or 4, and it took a 4th and 1 Jalen Hurts scramble into the end zone to win that game. So championship teams, they're not going to win. They're not going to win every game in a blowout. They're just not going to do that. Championship teams figure out how to win ugly. Championship teams learn how to win ugly. Hey, this game could have gone either way, but because of the Eagles' talent, their coaching staff, their personnel, that's why they won 25-20. It is what it is. I'd feel a little bit better if we had, 40-3 or something like that. Hey, look, man. We also have to remember, Bill Belichick is one of the greatest defensive minds ever. He had 4 months to prepare for Jalen Hurts. And it was clear, and Bill Belichick normally schemes very, very well against mobile quarterbacks. Plus, it was rainy, it was windy, and yeah, I know that Mac Jones was dealing with that too. I know he was dealing with that too, but let's pump the brakes. Let's pump the brakes. This was essentially a preseason game for us. We got the W. We're good. I'm not tripping. I'm slightly concerned. We got 16 more of these. It's a long season. This is my prediction for today. This is what I want to happen. I want the Jets to win. But I think the Bills are going to. This is what I want to happen. I want the Jets to win 30-27. I think they're going to lose 20-37. Great show. Again, just to recap, Chris Jones has ended his holdout. He agreed to a 1-year contract extension with the Chiefs. We don't know what the numbers are yet, but from what we're told, It looks like the contract is going to be incentive laden. I think he's in year 3 or 4 of a 4-year, $80 million contract that he signed with the Chiefs a couple years back. He sees that he has outperformed his contract. He sees the money that Nick Bosa got. He sees the money that TJ Watt got. He wants a little bit of that too, and I absolutely would do that. I would absolutely have done what Chris Jones did. Coco Gauff is the youngest American teenager to win the U.S. Open since Serena Williams did it back at the tender age of 17. Novak Djokovic, at 35 years old, now has the most Grand Slam victories, singles Grand Slam victories in tennis history. So in my mind, he is absolutely the greatest tennis player of all time. And it's incredible that it's not Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal. It is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. God, good calls today. Very, very good calls today. Thank you for the super chats, guys. This is a passion project of mine, guys. I do this really because I want to. I can't see myself making money off of this. I just do it because I love sports and I love to talk. So why not do a sports talk? Thank you guys all very, very much. I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to set up I'm going to set everything up for our for our watch party. We're going to watch the New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills over on Rumble and Sharpstream. Go to sharpstream.com. Go to sharpstream.com to check it out, or you can go to rumble.com/DonovanSharp/live. We'll probably kick it at about 8 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.
Years?
No, 5 now.
Well,